Hey everyone, welcome to Marketing for Designers podcast. I'm your host, Masha Coyne, a messaging strategist and a copywriter for the interior design industry. I've been marketing for what feels like forever in my past career at some of the biggest global firms like KPMG and Deloitte. Today, I write website copy for designers using my signature voice of customer framework. If you're a designer looking to up your marketing game and attract premium clients, this podcast is for you. Each week on the show, we're going to be talking all things marketing, from branding to messaging to social media, SEO, and so much more, so you can have all the tools you need to grow your business and attract your dream clients. All right, welcome back to the show. I've got a juicy episode for you today. We're talking about rebranding, such an interesting topic, and I feel like I'm surrounded by people who are rebranding at different stages of their business. Or maybe because it's clients that come to me in the process of rebranding when they seek copywriting services. So typically I bring on marketing experts on the show to get their take or perspective or advice on a particular subject. But this time I'm joined by an interior designer who's also my client. I thought it would be super interesting to hear from someone who has just gone through a major rebrand and hear from, the good, the bad, and the ugly, or I guess the realities of a rebrand experience and what to expect. So if you are considering a rebrand or planning one, you'll love today's episode. My guest today is one of my favorite clients, Amanda Fasciani. She's a Toronto-based interior designer who runs Liv Interiors, a full-service interior design firm that specializes in large-scale renovations and new builds. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you for having me, Masha.
I'm so excited. It's so nice to reconnect
This
again.
is great.
This time in a new kind of setting, still on Zoom, but in a new setting.
Absolutely. No, this is great. I'm excited.
Well, this is going to be interesting. So why don't we just get started and start from the beginning. Why the rebrand? What kind of prompted this?
When I was thinking about today's episode, I said, how far back do I go? Because, I think this is something I really wanted to do for a long time. But as people will soon find out, I knew it was going to be a grueling process in the terms of it's a lot of work. And it requires some deep soul searching. What do I want the brand to represent? So I think it's what really, really pushed me to do it is one of my most recent projects. It was we call it like a unicorn zebra in our industry. Like these clients come so rarely that it's like, oh my God. And what I mean by that is they allowed me to really be involved, literally, from the time of architectural drawings, and, to digging ground, framing, to hanging the last piece of art on the wall. And it was kind of a learning curve for me because I saw that by being involved from the early stages of such a large project, that's when the magic happens. Every detail that you consider as a creative, as an interior designer, is executed exactly the way you envisioned it. And it was with that moment after I finished the photo shoot where I'm like, okay, this is what Liv Interiors is. This is what it has to be. And my current brand, which I felt was truly non-existent, had to be born. It's funny, we call it rebranding, but I feel like I started the company so quickly that I didn't even think or consider a brand, So that's what made me go, okay, this is the type of work I want to attract, the type of clientele. And if this is going to be my, dream avatar client, then my brand has to reflect that. And also speak to the right audience. course, that's why we ended up connecting, because I needed help finding my voice, the branding voice. And it took a village, that's for sure. But I was very happy to have you as one of my village members
Oh, I love
during
that.
that process. Yeah.
Thank you. It was amazing to work with you on that project. So, but you said something that I feel like so many people also say, that when they start their business, they don't really consider like the proper way to start and what is even a brand. Like when I think back 6 years ago to my own business, I'm like, I don't think like I hired somebody to create my logo. That's about it. I don't think I was
Right.
ever thinking about elements like voice and values and I don't know, mission and all the important things. Because when you
Yeah.
just
Like,
start,
what the heck is all that? Right.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
listen, I just want to design really pretty homes. This
Hmm.
is the goal. So what,
Hmm.
absolutely.
So why now? Was it because that you had this dream client, or how you what is it that you call unicorn or
Yeah,
zebra?
my unicorn zebra
Like this
client.
amazing dream client that fully trusted your vision and let you do your
Yeah,
thing. Um, is it the fact that, okay, now I want to work with more of these kind of clients?
yeah. I felt that my current brand, my current website, my current social media, which was completely like from 2021 till now, was just tumbleweeds. It's just
Hmm. Hmm.
completely died out. And of course, I had a baby in between, and life got busy, and you know, um, most of the people in our industry could relate to that, because we are primarily women. So I think we
Hmm.
all go through this. We're really hot, we're really busy, and then we choose to slow down to raise our young families. So um, yeah, I just kind of threw myself into it at first. And when I was coming out of, let's call it maternity leave, and I had finished that project, I thought, okay, Amanda, we're ready now. Let's take this seriously. Let's make a career out of this and not a hobby.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
sometimes I did feel like, you know, I was running my business as a hobby, because I just, I'm very fortunate to be able to do what I love for a living, waking up excited to go to work. So I thought, where do I start? And I thought, okay, well, if my dream is to get this current home I'm speaking of into a publication. And my first thought was, okay, well, if this happens, which hopefully it does, people are going to possibly come and say, oh, what's Liv Interiors? Who are they about? And if they had gone to my my old website and branding and social media, I think they would be confused. It didn't reflect anything that I was passionate about, and showcased essentially what I am capable of as a designer. So
So you made that decision to, okay, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna
got
create
it.
this brand,
Yeah.
or I guess rebrand, do it right, hire the right people, do the right steps. Can you jog your memory and help us establish like the order of things? What were some of the initial steps that you took in this on this journey?
Research. My God, I did a lot of research, which included speaking. I'm very grateful. I have friends and oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Mentors in my life that are in the same industry, and I spoke to them and got their branding experience and what they did right and what they felt they had done better or started sooner, and vice versa. And then listening to some podcasts on marketing and branding within the interior design industry, which is actually, Masha, how I came across you, because I was listening to one of Rebecca Hayes' podcasts, and she was speaking to you, and I swear to you, it's like, okay, yeah, that was my ticket. I'm like, that's where I need to start. She's going to help me just narrow down what the heck it is I want my brand to be. Let's find my voice. Let's find my purpose. Um, and from that, maybe that'll be like a good starting point. And quite honestly, Masha, I think starting with you was the best place to start, for real, because with all the work you sent me in terms of like the questionnaire, that was like I called it my therapy work. It took me like 2 or 3 days to really dig deep and say, oh, that's a good question. Like, what is my purpose? What are the pain points that I'm gonna, claim to solve, and what makes me different? That was a really hard
That's the toughest
question.
question for every single
I
person.
mean, it's because let's face it, we all have a hard time, praising ourselves and abilities, and it's like, what does make me different? So I'm so happy that it started with you, because it was your preliminary work, homework, we'll call it,
Yeah.
that really made me dive deep. Um, and so, yeah, that's where I got just homework, talking to people, podcasts, just and then interviewing many people.
Who did you did you interview different experts like
Yeah,
messaging, graphic
yeah,
designers, web design, like all of those kind of areas?
absolutely. So it was copywriter. I called a few like marketing and branding agencies, because I also wanted help with the social media aspect of things, possibly doing monthly newsletters. Like, what did I want this to look like? And I thought, I mean, I'm no branding or marketing expert. So I called a few, let's call firms, if you will. I then even spoke to publicist, again, more pertaining to publication.
Hmm.
And the reason why I reached out to publicists, because I wanted to know from them what it is that these, publications or speaking events or whatever have you, to expand myself and market myself. Like, what does that involve? What does that take? What are the fees involved? And oh, well, I'm sure we'll get to that. It was an extremely expensive venture. And then I met a wonderful lady who was kind of a one-stop shop, if you will. So, graphic designer, website developer, art director for my photo shoots, social media. Like, she really was a full package. And so, yeah, again, tons of interviews, tons of, do you know someone? Okay, let me hear. I don't like going on Google and just picking from the crop. I like referrals.
Because it's easier to trust, right? It's easier to trust somebody who's worked
Yeah,
with somebody that you know.
absolutely. I mean, the Google reviews, I know they're important. I myself sometimes rely on them for certain services for sure. But in this instance, this is my baby. This is
Hmm.
another child of mine. And I wanted to make sure I was doing it right and I was spending money in the right areas.
Hmm. It's so interesting when you say that you started with messaging. You started with knowing that you want to establish your voice and kind of what you stand for. What's your differentiator? Like what makes you different in the from your local competitors? Why
Hmm.
not starting with the kind of the visual? Because I feel like most people start with a visual side of things, with the
Because
aesthetic.
that's the sexy part. That's the
Hmm.
sexy and fun part, right? Like, I myself couldn't wait to talk about the
That's the
logo
fun
and the
part. Yeah.
colors, and who the heck knew I had to have like colors for my branding, like, that's the fun part. Just like in interior design, sometimes you don't really care for the framing and the electrical and the
The
plumbing,
bones.
right? The stuff
Yeah.
behind the walls, the not so sexy stuff, but the very important stuff. You can't wait to hang those drapes and fluff those pillows and roll out that rug. That's the
Mhm.
fun part. So of course, that's where everyone thinks, because as much as the way your brand appears, whether it's the logo or your colors or what have you, it's the voice that is going to make people follow you, that is going to make people, oh, I want to hear what she has to say. So I feel like the branding voice was definitely the most important aspect of the rebranding experience, you know, uh, because that's ultimately what people are going to relate to.
I love that. What was the most challenging part of that?
Um, Finding my voice, you mean? Or just the general process?
The entire process, I guess,
Yeah.
like, you had your
Mm,
favorite parts, you can get to the sexy stuff, but then there were
yeah.
fundamentals that you had to establish. Out of all the little steps that you took in this rebranding journey, what was the most challenging one?
Other than the financial aspect of it, because and not to say, listen, I did it because I knew investing in myself, you can't go wrong. I knew I was doing the right thing. I knew that it was money very well spent. And I think that's why I was very careful. So definitely that, because you're putting a lot of faith into this brand, this developed, uh marketing engine, like, just you're hoping it's going to drive business and pay for itself. So that was challenging for me in terms of just deciding, like, am I going to do this? Because if I'm going to do this, like, I'm going to do it right. There's going to be no cutting corners, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself was definitely challenging. However, other than that, I think the photo shoot day, preparing for that, was exhausting. And
We chatted about it a little bit because
yeah,
I've done the same thing. So tell me what exactly was so is that like the prep of that
the
before that?
preparation. The day
Yeah.
was exhilarating. The day of, a ton of work, and I swear to you, I was in pain for a week after that, just from all the lifting and moving and the changing and the holy mackerel. But preparing for it, you know, ordering samples, because it wasn't just photos of myself. It was, we did a lot of flat lays and mood boards, and I really wanted these images to visually explain to the client different parts of our process. We were
Mm-hmm.
photographing specifically, not only for social media, of course, but also for the website, and really trying to have this one photo be like, oh, okay, so that's what implementation phase looks like, right? Because you say that to a
Mm-hmm.
client, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
what the heck does that mean? So
Yeah.
that was stressful. And then, let's face it, girl, we've talked about this before. I was a Zara store in here.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
when it came to the outfit selection, I was like, "Oh my gosh." I went bonkers. Just, and I'm like, "Oh, I need, like, I think I had, I don't know, minimum of 8 outfit changes. I'm probably more.
Oh my God. And that's a lot because most photographers like cap it at like 3 or 4
Yeah.
outfit
And
changes.
and sorry, earlier you asked me who I interviewed and what have you, and that was also a big thing, is the photographers. Visually, they
Mm-hmm.
have to get the brand voice. It's so funny. Like,
Yeah.
it's like these
Yeah.
images have to be loud. They have to be like, oh, there, that's Liv Interiors. And they
That's
were,
right.
and I hired these photographers, the Julian and Kelly, and I have to be honest with you, they were my wedding photographers.
Oh, interesting. So they weren't like brand photographers.
They definitely have dabbled in it, but their main focus is family and wedding. And however, they are also dear friends of mine. And Julie, both of them, Julian and Kelly, are extremely talented. And I love their just the way they photograph, the mood of it all. Like, it resonated with me. And again, the one of the ladies I hired to help me with everything, was very clear, like, this is the lighting, this is what we need the photos to look like, these are the angles. She really, like, she even art directed the whole thing.
Oh, that's
um
pretty cool. What kind of title is that? What kind of expert is that? Like,
art director, I suppose, that's what she
oh.
calls herself at times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, oh, I never even thought, like, this is just all part of the branding process that I didn't even consider. And someone who is as myself, let's call it ignorant bliss. Sorry. It's like, I didn't, like, what's the big deal? It's a photo. Oh, no, 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 no. It is a huge, I've learned it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there was a few parts of the process, but I will say this, although that was the most work, oh man, I'm so happy with how it turned out. So it was worth all the stress and headache and money. That's for sure.
So very rewarding. But tell me, on the flip side of things, any unexpected challenges or concerns in the
Mm.
process that you like literally did not expect?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. It went smoothly. I think the only thing I couldn't prepare myself for was the amount of work involved. But it was fun work, Masha. Like I said, I was like creating something, and it was yeah. So like, although it was a ton of work, I loved every minute of it because I was excited. I saw where it was going. I saw the big picture. And again, I was very fortunate to have a very good team behind me because I definitely couldn't do it by myself.
So piggybacking on that, so what are like the critical elements for a rebranding to be an absolute success? What do you need to have in place?
So you mean like as in terms of people? Like
not just people, but the things that need to be done, kind of everything. Like if you could summarize, like, yep, these are, I don't know, like 3 to 5 things that you absolutely need to have in place in order for this to be a success.
Yeah. So brand voice, who do I want to work for? Who is my ideal client?
But it's so interesting that you say that. I want to zero in on that. When you say brand voice, a lot of people kind of think of, well, yeah, it's me. It's how I sound. It's the personality of my brand. But you're so smart about it and so maybe like educated and informed already on this. You're like, who do I want to work? That's the first thing that you say. That to me, that's incredible.
Yeah. I think although again, and I think that's the point of a brand. I think it can represent, and I think a brand can be many things because obviously if you're selling a product versus a service, it's a different type of brand voice, right? So you want the brand voice to reflect your values, your purpose, what it is that you want to represent. And I definitely wanted a brand voice that did reflect me, personable. I don't take myself so seriously. However, I'm extremely professional. I also wanted to capture the fact that, although interior design, that like the way we do interior design is very similar to everyone else, we really enjoy the process of getting to know our clients. And we wanted that personable relationship with the client. So when it came down to the voice, I didn't want to attract someone who didn't want to be involved at all. I wanted to attract someone who in the voice and the brand, the voice in the copy of the website, in our social media and the way we engage with our audience. I wanted to attract people who are like, oh man, I love it. Like I'm going to be involved in all the fun stuff, right? Amanda's going to take all my headaches away, but she still wants to spend time with me. She still cares about what I want a couch to feel like. She wants to go shopping with me. She wants to, I want that personal connection. So it's the voice of the brand that matters. It's not just about my voice. It's like, I want to portray a very professional firm, but I'm not like your typical firm. I want that connection with somebody. So it's more than just my voice. It is a brand. It is something that we want to trademark. This is Liv Interiors. It's not Amanda Fasciani. It's Liv Interiors by Amanda Fasciani.
That's right. I love that. So we've got voice, number 1 ingredient. What else?
I think after that, a very visually appealing website. And I say that because, and I took it from my own experience. When I go to someone's website, whether they're selling a product or I'm looking to do a service, I want to be visually attracted to it. That's me. Sometimes if I'm looking for a hairstylist or a makeup artist and I go to their website and the pictures are taken with a phone and, I don't know, it's not a professional photo or there's really no style. It's a very simple website. Not to say that that's bad. I'm just saying, it
portraying a specific image.
Whereas if I go to a website for a makeup artist, for example, and they've got professional photos, and they've got these the font is gorgeous and everything's well organized. You're able to book online an appointment, and that was the other thing. Like, I wanted my website to be very user friendly because the audience I was trying to attract are older, 40 plus. So let's face it, I'm 37 and I struggle with technology on a day to day. So I didn't want anything too elaborate, so even in that sense, I had to think about, when designing the website, who is going to be visiting my website? Who do I want to visit my website? And if that's the case, how can I make this attract them to make, oh, this is great, So much to think about, really. So the website.
I love that you're talking about like this professional website, and it's so different from, like you said yourself, it could be like photos from the iPhone. I recently talked to a client's client, so an interior designer's client, and the thing that they brought up was that interior designer's website and the fact that she could see that she's a professional, she's a business owner. I'm like, why is it so important to you? She's like, well, because that means she's taking it seriously. And it was just so important to her. I was so surprised to hear something like that.
Folks, audience, whoever's listening, if you want to charge what you want to charge, okay, you can't, you need to look, you have to present yourself a certain way. I truly believe that, right? And that's, and I'm bringing up this makeup artist situation because I recently went through it. I visited one website where they had the phone photos, and it was a lovely website. You could tell she had done a lot of work. And she was asking the same price as this website that was extremely beautiful, professional. Her social media presence was unreal. You could tell she put a lot of love into it, and I didn't mind paying what the other person was paying that I didn't feel was really worth it, to be honest. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll pay her top dollar. Look at the way she presents herself. Look at how much love and care she's put into her brand. She's clearly passionate about this, and her work is amazing. Look at the detail in the eye makeup. And I could see that because of the professional photos. And same goes for interior photo shoots, My gosh, I didn't realize even those, how long it takes just to get one shot perfect, But I'm telling you, that one shot, I could probably post it on social media 1,000 times, and they're gonna like it 1,000 times. It's everything. The way you present yourself, you have to look professional on all fronts. So even if you don't have a huge portfolio, maybe you got that one or two really amazing products, spend the money, get them professionally photographed, and put them up on every platform you can imagine, whether it's social media or website, because at the end of the day, we're selling a service that is not tangible, right? We're not selling a product. It's a luxury service. So if you want to attract a luxury client, your brand, your website, your voice, your everything that's out there that resembles you has to exude elegance and luxury and professionalism. And and sorry, I shouldn't generalize, but that's where I was coming from. I wanted people to visit me or see me or hear about me and be like, oh, wow, this is impressive. Right. So yeah.
You were going for the wow on all fronts.
No more playing around. Let's take this seriously, lady. Yeah.
I love that. So we've got messaging, we've got professional website, we've got professional photography. Any other things that someone might consider?
The copy. Masha, I mean, I said at the beginning, you were the best thing I did. It was I'm so happy I started with that. And that was not strategic. I think you were the first person in that I just I had that aha, okay, this is where I need to start. I just had that aha moment. I didn't do homework to figure out, oh, I need to start with the copy. That's just because I started there. I could now say that is definitely the best place to start. And, you were my voice. The copy is the voice. And if someone is reading through my website and, there's run-on sentences and using the same words like luxurious and functional and practical, it's like, snooze fest, let's spruce it up here, folks. And let's face it, it's just so much more professional when you hire someone. And again, I didn't hire you for your voice, right? I hired someone like you to help me find my voice and then speak for the brand, right? And it really is. And now when people go to my website, I actually had, this is a great point here. So I had an inquiry from my new website for the first time just last week. And when I would get inquiries before, the email would be 2 pages long. Okay. Because my website was that vague. I didn't, the website and the copy of the website and my everything that they saw of me on a computer, they're like, so do you do this? And if we did that, are you able to help us with this also? And oh, by the way, how do you work? Is it hourly? Is it fixed fee? What's your And I would just be like, listen, we need to have a call, because if I respond back, this is going to be a long time. But now I got my first inquiry on my new website, and it was name, number, here's my project budget. This is the service I need you for. Let's set up a discovery call. Great. So that last week was like, okay, Amanda, we did it. We succeeded at what we wanted to do. And it was because, it was everything. But when you visit my website, it is very clear. It is very concise through the voice, through the copy. Okay, this is what the firm does. This is what her take is. This is what separates her from everyone. That's cool. I like that. That's what I need, right? Oh, there's her process. Oh, that seems really straightforward. Great. Yeah, that's easy to understand. Let's have a meeting. I don't
Oh
have
my
to ask
God,
her
that makes me so
I don't
happy.
have to ask her what she does, because it's all here very clearly and beautifully written for my eyes. So I cannot stress enough, people never think about a copyright. I don't even think people know who a copyright. I didn't know.
I still get inquiries where like, so you do website design? I'm like, no, I don't. I fill it with
No.
words. Oh,
But
so it's different.
But Masha, what is fantastic, and I'm speaking on the for my website designer, she loved how you presented the copy, because you organized. There was no guesswork. There was no, where does that part go? How do I place this? And then you would even suggest, I think you should put this call to action here. And I visualize this next to such and such an image. So it's, yes, you do cop, that's you, but you are also well versed in, you already imagine, this is how I want it to flow.
Absolutely. And the reason why I do that,
This is how I want it to be presented. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why I present it in a wireframe and with all the guidelines and with all the visual direction is because I want to eliminate all the guesswork. As I'm writing, I'm kind of visualizing. Obviously, I rely a lot on the creativity and, ideas of the web designer. But at the same time, I have a specific framework, and there's a specific order that the information and all the copy and all the key messages need to show up in. So it's very important to keep that order.
Listen, same goes for any major renovation or new build, right? Although, and I say this all the time, although the finished product is maybe something I put together, if I didn't have the trades and the contractor and the professionals behind me to essentially create the canvas, I can't do my job. And that's essentially what you were. Like, you were that starting point. You built the foundation, right? And you provided the plans, and then, okay, great. We took that and we used it as our template, as our guide. So, I highly recommend whoever is planning to go on this venture, number one, do it. It's worth it. If you believe in yourself and, you truly feel, you can offer something that's going to make someone's life better, do it. It's worth
Mm-hmm.
it. And
Mm-hmm.
if you believe in your brand and your voice and your purpose, then it was worth all the hard work and money for
I
sure.
love that. How does your brand make you feel now? Like what's that end
Proud,
result?
proud. Before I would to be honest with you, there was a point where I removed my website link at the bottom of my email signatures when talking with new clients, potential clients, because I was embarrassed. I'm like, this does not reflect anything anymore. I started the company so quickly, and God bless it. It really did take off quickly, and that's how we got to where we were. But um, I was embarrassed. I wasn't proud. It didn't resemble what I was capable of.
The thing is, it wasn't bad. I think you're just so self-critical because I remember your website. It was so
Oh
beautiful.
my
It's
God.
but I think the key thing there is that it wasn't representative of what you are capable of, which is what
Yeah.
because the kind of client that you were trying to target at that time
Yeah.
or you were starting to work with is just a different caliber of a
Yeah.
client. And your website simply did it was not bad. You're way too critical of that, by the way.
Yeah. I guess I'm being, yeah. Well, aren't we all? We're our worst critics, right?
We are. No, absolutely. Like I'm going through this right now myself, right? And I specifically am not even pitching no podcast because I don't want them to go to my website because mine will be ready in at the end of July,
Yeah,
and
how
I'm excited to
exciting. Oh, I
see it.
can't wait to
I
see it.
can't
I'm sure
wait
it's gonna be
because
amazing.
it's going to be busy, but the thing is, I know exactly what you mean because when I go to my website right now, and I created it almost 6 years ago, and you know what my process, my process because you've worked with me. There's like,
Amazing.
8 steps in the process. But when you go on my website and look at my process, there's 4 steps. There's
Yeah.
literally, and then I write. I'm like, what about the steps in between?
Masha, I didn't even have a process. And if you went to my services page on my last website, thank God it's nowhere to be found. I swear to you, I think we even like offered to make dinners. Like we just were offering every service that we could potentially think of, right? Because you're starting out. You'll take, if you want me to come pick a pink color for your powder room, I'll be there. No problem. I'll do it for free. Just refer me to your friends. Like you're at a different point in your career. And I just felt that my old website didn't reflect where I had gone, where I was, and where I aim to be. Um, so it was time. And going back to your process, and I'm sure you might, I mean, I shouldn't interrupt because maybe you're getting to this, but the part of the process where you interview my past, current clients was so beneficial to me.
How so?
You don't, okay, maybe people do. I have never thought to ask, "Hey, were you happy? What could I have done better? What pain points did I solve for you?" Because in my mind, when you ask that question, because that could be a differentiator between yourself and your competitors, I never think to ask those things, right? So, hearing what clients and past and current and future had to say about the services and what value I brought, because let's face it, that's what you're selling is your value. It was eye-opening. And I thought that was such a bold, and that was a lot of work for you to even think, I'm gonna call this stranger and have this conversation and talk about Amanda. And it just, I don't know. It was really, that was part of the process I was really excited about too, because I was excited and nervous because I was really excited to hear the feedback that I never thought to even ask.
Yeah. So what Amanda and I are talking about here, it's the voice of customer data. So basically in my process, I go and interview 5, 6, or a few of your clients, a few of your past clients. And the goal is literally to just collect audience insights, to ask about what are the pain points that they've experienced. What brought you to this designer? Who did you even consider? What other choices did you make? Or what was part of that decision-making process? What were you hoping to accomplish? What did you want? How did you want to feel in your home? And then a lot of things about like hesitations and objections. And the reason for me to collect those insights is because if this is your ideal client, we want to truly understand them and then inform the copy using the audience insights so that the copy at the end of the day resonates with those exact clients using the language that they use.
Amen.
And that's
Amen.
And you know what? It does take time, but this is one of my favorite parts of the process because believe it or not, people love talking about themselves.
Oh.
And when you get them talking, first of all, I never set them up as like, oh, these are the client interviews. No, they're client chats, conversational. I'm just going to be prompting
Love
you.
it.
Yeah. So people love talking about themselves and you get juicy, like copy gold.
Well, Masha, we got our slogan from one of the calls.
That's right. We should have mentioned that. We got your main headline from one of the things that your client said.
I don't think that couldn't be a better slogan because it is from a client's mouth themselves. Okay. But I wouldn't have ever thought of that. And quite frankly, I've been like, oh, well, that's pretty self-involved of me to.
Are you kidding me? This is the best headline. Okay. Yes. First of all, we should probably review it.
Yeah.
So the headline is experience pinch me moments every time you come home.
Yeah.
Like this was, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, this is the headline. This is the main headline because this is the emotion. This is the feeling that you're trying to evoke. And what better way to say it that in the words of your existing or past client?
Yeah, absolutely.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. So what else I want to know? Why? I know there are some people that are doing it themselves. The whole rebranding.
God bless you.
So what would you say? Why hire? Why not? Well, actually, no, maybe I should rephrase it. Maybe it is not in your budget.
Absolutely.
Which parts would you say you would absolutely outsource and which part you could? Because you could do it yourself.
Absolutely.
If you have time, you could do it yourself.
As I mentioned, I am technically challenged. Okay. I know how to use email pretty good with, I don't know, Word. I'm technically challenged and quite frankly, it all demystifies me. However, there is websites I know or like oh God, I don't even know the proper terminology, but I believe
like the templates.
Yeah, like you can get there was certain like Squarespace, you could download a template and it literally is just a matter of you putting the photos in, writing what you need to write. I think that the website, if you really sat there and worked on it, you could definitely figure it out yourself and it would probably look awesome. Let's face it. Where I feel like you should absolutely spend your money. I know this sounds biased, but copy was a big one for me.
Oh my God. This was not rehearsed. I know. I guarantee you this was not rehearsed.
Listen, I've been speaking about how good of a job you did finding the voice. And it didn't sound like I used AI. Okay. It still sounded like a person, with proper jargon and personality. I like to joke around. I like to have fun. And sometimes, well, if I'm out with a client sourcing furniture, I'll be like, let's screw this crap. Let's go for a glass of wine and a salad. So I wanted that personality to be present in the copy, but still keeping it professional. And so, yeah. And again, maybe there's some people who are really, good with their writing and their words, and that's wonderful. But I personally found that was a good spot for me to invest. And then I think the photography was the next one, because in my line of work, visual experience is everything. That is what captures what I do. If I went into a home and just took a shot with my cell phone, well, that wouldn't really capture much, would it? So I think those were the two areas. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that and you know what? Those it wasn't even that bad financially, but those were the two really important ones for me.
That's great. That's great. What's one piece of advice you would give a designer who is considering rebranding right now? Maybe it has to do with
Yes.
something that they need to think
Do the
about
soul
ahead of
searching.
time.
Do the soul searching. Do, you know, and talk to
Hmm.
people in your industry. I found that sometimes I would feel like, oh, is it just me? Like why am I experiencing this? Or is it, you know, is it something I'm doing? Am I not doing it right? And then you talk to someone, it's like, oh no, that's completely normal. You feel less alone. So I think finding out, and again, you know, you asked me about competitors and stuff. Sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth here. My ADHD's I never it's funny.
Yeah,
I
yeah, no, it's all
never
good.
when you asked me about competitors and people, I don't even like to think of them as competitors, colleagues that I share an interest with in the industry. Um, and I never thought to ask them, how do you run your business? You know, what does your process look like? Do you find that, you know, and especially if I came across someone who had a beautiful website that I really was attracted to, I would say, hey, like, how do you find, like, are you generating a lot of business just from your website? And if so, what do you find is working for you? What's so there's when I say research and soul searching, don't be afraid to call people, to buy a book, to listen to podcasts on whatever it is you got questions about, because that's the great thing about technology is the information is at your fingertip.
I love it. It's like collaboration over competition. I absolutely love that you were able to do that with some of the competitors.
Listen, I'm if anything, I support anyone and everyone who is doing well for themselves and and who's good at what they do. You deserve all the success. We're not here to you know beat each other up. We're there's yeah. So I feel like soul searching, figuring out what you are, what you offer. Why is this so important to you? You know, if you want to, if you have a service you want to offer, why is it so important to you that you're now thinking, okay, I need a website. I need to represent a brand. Why? You know, what who are you trying to attract? Do you want to just do anything that comes your way? Is it a bath? Do you love doing bathroom renovations? Do you just want to focus on kitchens? Or are you really good at flipping properties? You know, maybe you want to be that type of designer where you're like, you know what, I want to work with real estate agents. You know, whatever it is, it requires soul searching before you can even begin the brand process because it's time consuming and it's costly. And if you get it wrong and you don't attract what your goal was, that's a big problem. So you really have to sit down and be like, what does my schedule want to look like? What kind of hours do I want to work? Do I want to just be in and out on a project? Do I want to get involved with implementation, or do I want to just give them the design and be like, here, take all this information and go do it yourself? Or do you want to be like me? You want to be involved from A to Z. So there's stuff like that. You know, how much do I want to charge? And how do I come up with that number to ensure that I'm profitable and I'm able to cover my expenses? Okay, great. So I need to charge this. Oh, that's okay. Well, that means I'm going to be charging a pretty luxurious fee. So now I got to make sure I can attract that with my voice and my there's so much to really
Mm-hmm,
figure out. Like,
mm-hmm.
don't start with the brand. Start with a business
That's
plan.
such a good advice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
start with a business plan, figure out your avatar client, you know, and you when I was doing my I was writing in a journal and I was talking about this dream client, I even went down to like where they vacationed and you know what clothes they would wear and you know what hours they worked. Did I want a busy professional who I would have a very difficult time getting a hold of? Or did I want someone who, and did I want someone who had a flexible schedule rather that could to go shopping during the week on a Monday morning? You know, I really, oh man, I dove deep. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
that it was there. So before you even call Masha or call the website developer, or you start thinking of your beautiful logo and this, you need to find your voice. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so powerful once you do, because you have your goal, you know where you want to go, and now you got to get there. So that's my
I love
advice.
that. Oh my God, there's so many good things that you said. I absolutely love that. And I absolutely love that you were so intentional with your brand. Well, this time around with the rebranding and how like you did the journaling and getting clear on your customer, because a lot of times when people create those customer avatars, they don't go deep enough.
Like, oh,
They're just very surfacey.
I want them to get, like, I want them to trust me, and I want them to
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
a budget of X amount of dollars per room. And I don't, that, okay, of course, we all want that. We all want the blank check, and the customer's like, oh yeah, that looks great. Do whatever you want. Sure. But what else? Do you want to be able to have a conversation with this person? Do you want to feel comfortable enough to call them, or are you always going to be nervous to speak to them because they've got a personality of attack? Like, what do you, because at the end of the day, Masha, we get really close and personal with these people. You're often a therapist, a marriage counselor, a babysitter, like you're everything. So you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people. So what kind of people do you want to attract? Forget about the financial aspect of this. Of course, you want someone who can afford your services. That would defeat the purpose, but dive deeper. What type of person do you want to be like, oh yeah, that's my gal, you know? I don't
Mm.
want to attract anyone with a personality of attack. So that's why I'm like, I want someone who can get my humor, who sees that I don't take things all so seriously, and this is going to be a fun process. I love what I do. I don't want this to be stressful for either of us. So if you let me do what I do, I'll let you have all the fun. And you just got to trust me that we're going to get through this together. So yeah,
Love that. Love that. So do some soul searching. So,
absolutely.
okay. Okay, Amanda, one last question.
Mhm.
And I should probably warn you, but
Great.
what's the one habit or practice
Oh God.
that you implemented in your life or business that has been a game changer for you?
Oh my gosh, Masha, why didn't you send that to me sooner?
I know. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I should do that ahead of time.
What is the one thing okay. So here's in my business, and I can't take credit for this. I take credit this. I also have a business coach. Um, never I have no longer sent proposals virtually.
Oh, tell me more.
I demand to sit down in person to discuss the contract and the pricing and how we work, because let's face it, and I know this because I do it myself. If I am hiring someone for a service, they're going to send me, a 7-page email or document, and I'm going to skim through it, and then I'm going to go straight to the price, and I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? And it's often that, you have the clients not fully understanding what it is you're delivering. So that has been a game changer for me. I no longer discuss pricing over the phone. I no longer send proposals or contracts. I'm going back to the olden days. I want to sit down in front of you, and I want the golden handshake. Let's get this done. This is what I'm going to do with you. And I don't even go as far as reading the proposal. I'm flipping through the pages. I'm explaining what this means, what I'm going to do. And then I say, okay, so this is why it's going to cost this, but this is due at this time, and it's all explained. And it's a personal action. I'm looking them in the eyes. I'm not, they can see that I'm being genuine, and it's more personable. So that has been a game changer. And so far, I haven't lost one contract. Whereas when I send it via email, I'm not saying I would never succeed, but oh, you're nervous and you're there waiting. Oh my God, are they call me back? Did they think it was too much? Did I not explain something properly? And then you're chasing and you're chasing and you're chasing. And this was a game changer.
Solid.
And as I mentioned, that inquiry that came from my website, their budgets were there that they clicked, like starting from and it's like, okay, great. The client is comfortable with this. And now I'm not even going to waste the client's time and offer them something that's not within that budget. We're going to talk strictly about this. And it's just a game changer when you sit in front of someone and there's this understanding and we're talking. It feels less of a business transaction, although that's what it is.
I love it. Oh my, my wheels are spinning. Now I need to think, how can I integrate that into my own thing?
And by the way, that also includes a Zoom call if you can't make it to the person's house or they're, across
that's the only way, because I work internationally.
Because it's still face to face. It's still there. We're making eye contact.
Feeding off their visual cues and all. So you could do that.
And sometimes, you're looking them and they look perplexed about something you just said. Oh, is everything okay? Do you want me to go over that?
Because you clarify things, right? You're providing context. They're not just staring and getting sticker shock.
Absolutely.
But you are providing context and, answering questions or proactively addressing.
Or selling a service, but you're selling yourself when you're the designer. I don't care what anyone says. So if I'm selling myself, what is a piece of paper going to do for me? Not much. It's going to outline things clearly. They can revert back to it and be like, oh yeah, that was included in the scope of work. Like it's, of course, the contract and the proposal, it's needed, but I want to talk to you about it. This is what we're going to do for you. This is what this means. And that's why it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And if there's a question or a debate, you squash it right there. There's no, let me get back to you. No. Let's squash it now. Okay, great. You know what? I agree with you. Let's change that or whatever. And you just get it done. There's no potential for miscommunication. So that's been a game changer.
Amazing. To be a fly on the wall for one of these conversations, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this has been, oh my God, this has been so awesome. I feel like it was a commercial for Masha, but it was
I know, sorry.
But it was
it's your podcast, so I had to express how great you've been.
I really appreciate it. And you've shared so much and you've given the honest feedback about everything, how hard it's been, but also how rewarding it is. So I truly, truly appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. So tell me, where can listeners find you if they want to kind of follow your journey and see what you're up to?
So they can follow me at Liv Interiors I think it's just livinteriors.ca. My apologies. And then the website is liv-interiors.ca.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you, Masha. You've been great. Thank you for everything. And best of luck to you moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Marketing for Designers. This is Masha Cohen signing off. See you next week.